Hello Canada, welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. Well, we have got a pile of stuff to go over. Again, I'm still working on a membership program because there's been a lot of stuff going on in the world that obviously, if I talk about it on this, the free version, I get, well, not deplatformed, but heavily censored. And they do it through algorithms where they actually hold me back. Now, we're going to deal with a little bit of what happened here with Putin and Trump. And actually, Trump wasn't really aware of why Russia just completely bombarded Ukraine. We'll dab a little bit of that today. We're going to deal a little bit with what's going on in the House. And we had some breaking news that just happened like within the last hour. A man has driven a van through a crowd in the UK. So we're going to have some graphic material here. We're also going to talk about, 10 million Canadians that are literally having food insecurity. Some of the crazy comments coming out of this new government. Carney is completely out of his league. He has no idea what he's talking about. Andrew Scheer lays down a congratulatory note to the new Speaker of the House. We've got some crazy footage, lots to go through, but I'm going to end off the show with Macron getting his face slapped in by his wife, well, shoved out of the way by his wife. Must be the cocaine. And we got a guy running around rooftops completely stark naked, trying to outrun the police in Toronto. Just another day in Canada. Let's get started with this breaking news out of the UK. This is, once again, this is graphic, so if you've got any kids, you may want to use your discretion on whether or not you think they should watch.
Oh, it's a bit bonuses. Holy shit. Oh my god. Punchy
Who's
head.
that? What the f***?
He's out there, him.
What the f***?
What the f*** going on
The incident
here?
took place during a parade in the city celebrating. I missed that.
What the f***?
Nah, he's dead,
That's
then.
funny, me video and that.
No, he's just killed a few people, you know.
Oh my god! What the f***? Oh!
This is
No!
unbelievable.
What the-
What's going on in the world
Oh
today?
my god, Allah! Oh my god! Oh my god! What the f***? Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill
I'm
him!
pushing the line by running this footage. Like I keep saying, this is why I created the channel. I created the channel to get the real news out there. Sorry, just the facts. This is the aftermath. Lots of emergency services had responded. It's not looking good. It's not yet clear what the extent of the injuries are. I know they did arrest a 50-some-year-old man. It's a sad day for Liverpool, everybody. Very sad day. Now, we're going to move on here. This should scare everybody, but obviously it didn't because they elected the same circus that caused this havoc on Canada.
The number of Canadian families struggling to put food on the table is surging by leaps and bounds. New data suggests almost 10 million Canadians are worried about running out or already limiting their intake. And as CTV's Garrett Barry reports, that includes a growing number of children.
This St. John's food bank, focusing on single parents, is getting ready for a surprisingly busy time of year.
For single-parent families, a lot of them are relying on those school breakfast and lunch programs. When the end of June hits and that last school bell rings, they're not sure where they turn to next.
Summer holidays, freedom for children, but an added stress for many parents. More bills for sports and summer camps and fewer programs like school lunches to rely on.
We will see exponential numbers coming to our food bank in the next couple of months, just looking for snacks and lunches to get through until September.
The number of families counting on hampers like these is growing. According to new data compiled by Statistics Canada, more than a quarter of all Canadians live in food insecure households, where families are worried about running out of money for food or have already started cutting back. And in Newfoundland and Labrador, 40% of children face those issues, one of the highest rates of childhood hunger in the country.
You're seeing it when it comes to like attention spans, ability to be able to focus, ability to kind of participate in physical activity.
BC elementary teacher Brent Mansfield is on a cross-country tour pushing for an expansion of meal programs in schools.
We also certainly want to see income supports and other measures put in place, but they're a piece of the puzzle.
Newfoundland and Labrador is taking steps to expand its school lunch program. Advocates say it's only one part of a solution, because this hunger problem is finding root in more families in more parts of the country.
The demographics overall are incredibly vast, and we are seeing more and more of those skilled workers just not being able to make ends meet.
Garrett Barry, CTV News.
Now, this is what happens in a socialist society, and it becomes a domino effect. The people ended up having to work so much to gain so little that government starts to interfere even more. And then in order to create programs to try and supposedly save the people, they create more debt, which raise more taxes, which make the dollar lower, the value of work lower, and creates more hard times. And like I said, this just starts rolling and dominoing out of place. It gets to the point where the society either collapses, revolts, or becomes a full-blown dictatorship where everything is monitored through the government. And like I say all the time, the door to fascism is opening. And the same Liberal Party that has created this completely out of control socialist idea is still in power, has been voted in. And I'm gonna let Carney talk about how little he understands about how our democracy is supposed to work, and I'll let some MPs talk about how they don't necessarily say they are full-blown commies, but by voting against a democratic idea within their party has already caused catastrophic events in Canada, and they did it again for their new dictator, as well as some other things we're going to get to. But this is really sad to see our country just spiraling out of control.
What's your message to caucus today?
No good news.
A day to set the tone and lay out his party's path in Parliament. Prime Minister Mark Carney promises his government will get right to work.
We are going to be very, very busy in the next few weeks. But we are going to be very, very busy in the next few months. We are going to be very, very busy in the next few years. We're going to have to do things previously thought impossible at speeds not seen in generations.
The Liberal Party has been...
Now, since he's been elected, he has done nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. Now, I'm just going to give you just a brief comparison. South of the border, they have opened up hundreds of thousands of acres of land through removing huge regulations in Alaska, and are following through with environmental practices and dealing with the indigenous out there in order to start drilling. There are already survey crews. This is all since, everything I'm stating has happened since Carney has won the election. So in the short period of time, they have already started surveying a series for 3 different pipelines. This is all in states. He has removed the Green New Deal, removed regulation. 9 nuclear power plants are already being surveyed and getting started and ready to be built. He has secured another $2.3 trillion of investment, which is going to gain a minimum of 290,000 jobs in the States. I could go on and on. That is what Trump has done south of the border since Carney has been elected. Carney has done nothing. In fact, he's created more divisiveness and he has spewed more crap than... And the kicker is for them saying, oh, we're going to be working hard and we're going to be doing everything. Just remember, if Conservatives would have won, the House would have been open and they would be in there actually trying to fix Canada. Poilievre warned all of his MPs there was going to be no summer holidays. They were going to go straight to work and start on fixing Canada, which is what we need. Instead, the Liberals have told us what their sitting days are going to be from here on out to the end of the year, and it is going to be one of the least sitting parliaments in Canadian history. We're looking at like maybe 2.5 months total, 2 months total. Think about that. We've been Parliament has been closed for how long? And even when it was running, when we had the turd, nothing was getting done because of the scandals that we're still waiting for the SDTC Green Slush Fund to be exposed. Transparency. Not a word about that. Carney went to visit the Vatican. In the meantime, the Vatican is screaming, going, hello, what about this non-charitable status? MPs have been bringing this forward. Mainstream media, crickets, silence. We're in big trouble here in Canada. Big, big trouble. And to give you an idea of the leader, he may be even worse than Trudeau. So this happened in Parliament. Check out what he does to Melanie Joly. Now, personally, she deserves it because she's a nincompoop. But he just dismisses her. Look at her. She's just sitting there twirly birding. God, she's such an embarrassment. She's going to get her 2 cents. She wants to put her 2 cents in. Ah, look at him. Get out of here. Shrugs his hand. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning, people. And now, the caucus meeting they had, they were supposed to vote on a reform policy in order, and what you do is you, in a democratic system, you elect the MPs, which we know now the Liberals don't care about the MPs. All they care about is their new dictator. That's all they're voting for. And every other party has followed through with a policy, thanks to the Reform Party, who brought it into the Conservative Party, and all the parties followed except the Liberals got rid of it. They didn't like it. They didn't like it because they don't like democracy. What it gives them is the power to sit down and vote their leader out, which you saw going behind closed doors for 3.5 years in the Liberal Party. And in the last year and a half, it was getting to be so full-blown, the fascist idea of the party, that people started to speak out. And media tried to hold that until finally they couldn't hold it anymore. What happened? They prorogued Parliament, which is in courts right now, to see if that was even legal. Personally, I don't think it was legal. because the excuses is he still had the confidence of Parliament, when in actual effect, he not only didn't have the confidence of Parliament, he didn't have the confidence of his party, but that couldn't be made known because they weren't allowed to vote on it. This is a fascist-style regime. Don't take it from me. Take it right from their members.
The Reform Act. What do you think about the Reform Act?
I'm going to vote against. I think it's an imperfect conservative bill to deal with Stephen Harper, and it was an imperfect act to deal with Stephen Harper's time in office. Canadians want to see us moving forward. They want to see us working, and this is a lot of questions and a lot of focus on this former conservative piece of legislation, and so.
Now, do you notice they call it a conservative piece of legislation? It's actually a democratic piece of legislation. Now, we've talked about this before, and Freeland has even gone out and done American-style late-night shows saying how, oh, well, our country's different. We don't vote for the leader. We vote for our MPs. We have a much better democratic system. Well, what good are your MPs if they cannot remove the leader? So in other words, and Chrystia Freeland voted against this as well, full-fledged commie. They have voted to ensure that democracy has no right in Parliament. Period. These are full-blown socialists.
Constituents want to see us getting to work, so let's move on. I support the leader, and I think we all do in this room, and we didn't expect to be here 6 months ago, and it's time to get working for this.
So you're worried about it sending the wrong message if they vote for this?
I don't think it sends a message either way. The Conservative Party adopted it and moved on to the next thing, but again, we need to focus on Canadians, need to focus on the economy, need to focus on moving forward, not internal Liberal caucus dynamics.
But why wouldn't you give yourself the right to do that? You know, a comparison that was made is like, it's like in a marriage. You know, you make an agreement just in case things go wrong, but it doesn't mean things are going to go wrong, right?
It doesn't mean that things are going to go wrong. I think caucus was particularly effective in under the previous Prime Minister. And
you listening to this? Verbal diarrhea?
And eventually was brought to the right decision. I think this is, again, time to move forward, and Canadians expect us to do that.
What is it about the act that you oppose?
Now, they do this because it gives them the advantage of what happened in this election. It gives the party time to start running propaganda, to start using your tax dollars to run polls, trying to figure the best way in order to make sure that their party doesn't lose favor in the public eye and stays in power. This is how fascist governments work. We're down to a two-party system. Democracy on one side and fascism right here.
Specifically, though?
Again, it was created
Yeah, but despite the Stephen Harper factor, right?
Despite the Stephen Harper factor, but you still have that as the background. That's still how it was created, through the Reform Party, not even through the Conservative Party. This is their notions that exist. It takes away the right of our membership. I look forward to robust discussions at...
It takes away the right of their membership. Are you hearing this? This... Ah, man. This is socialist talk.
The next convention, which is coming up in Montreal, I think there needs to be some serious reforms to the party constitution and give that right to the membership.
And would there be a different option or a better option to give that some kind of power to the government?
I think it's a issue that Canadians came forward in a very short period of time to ensure that Mark Carney was the leader. And we owe it to them to ensure that the party constitution reflects their right and their responsibility and their role if should that decision come, if the marriage breaks down, as the question was asked before. So thank you so much.
Are you supporting the Reform Act?
It's good to be back here to see caucus again.
We support the Reform Act.
On the Reform Act, are you going to vote for it? Or
I'm listening to the discussions, but I'm leaning against.
Socialist.
Are you going to vote for or against the Reform Act?
I won't be voting for the Reform Act.
Socialist.
We just had a leadership membership race where 85% of our Liberal members from coast to coast to coast made it clear who they want their leader to be, and I think we need to respect that.
Is that what do you have against it? Is that
The rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated.
Apparently they were. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You're going to vote on the Reform Act.
That is correct.
You got some thoughts about it?
I, along with many Canadians, have the utmost confidence in Prime Minister Mark Carney. For me, I know that we as a caucus are very strong. We make our decisions in there. I've come in with a preset mind that I will not be supporting the Reform Act.
There you go. Socialist.
Because we don't need to. Our caucus is strong, and we can do what we need to do. If I have a problem with any member of caucus, I can air it in there.
Because they don't want Canadians to know. They don't want MPs to have the ability to speak out for their unique area. This is a completely... This is the opposite of democracy. It's already bad enough that it's got to the point where MPs are muzzled. And this goes for all parties. They are muzzled against speaking what they believe is right and wrong due to the voices of their ridings. So a large step in the our democracy has already been fundamentally hushed. This is socialism. And now the Liberal Party, I should say the Conservative Party, which really they are the Liberal Party today. That's a fact. They're a small L, small C. They're the centrist. They're what the Liberal Party was 15 years ago for 30 years. This is the way they think. They're more progressive, but they still believe in hushing up their MPs. And then you have this full-fledged fascist, socialist, communist ideology. We've been shifting left more and more every year. It's to the point now where this is where society starts to crumble. And we're seeing it firsthand, like 25% of Canadians living in food poverty. Let that sink in. 25%. 1 out of every 4 people you walk by in the street is wondering what they're going to put in their bellies or feed their kids. This is pre-communist countries. This is what happens.
But what happens if you don't have confidence anymore? Like, just like what happened, you've lived it under Justin Trudeau.
I have confidence in Mark Carney, as well as many, many Canadians, and will continue to support the Prime Minister. But that, behind those doors right there, that's our caucus. We can let our hair down at any time and have very frank and open discussions, and that's what I will continue to do. And I know
you let your hair down with Justin Trudeau,
sure.
and it took months for him to resign, and he wasn't listening to the will of the caucus. So
you know what?
Isn't that a cautionary tale?
You know what? I can tell you that this caucus has existed since 1867, and it's done a great job, and we're going to continue to represent the people. And Mark Carney is by far the greatest leader that we've seen since Lester B. Pearson, which I have the honor now of representing the area where he was in Algoma. So I have all the confidence in the world, and if I do have a problem, I'll let him know in there.
This is what happens when over 50% of the party is still working for the World Economic Forum. This is their goal. They use this socialist ideology, the control and removal of democracy, in order to push their agenda. Those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it. This man has got a shelf life of about 30 days in his brain. Recycle, regurgitate, repeat. The true definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Now, let's take a listen to the brilliance of Mark Carney and how he's got a total grasp of how our democracy works. You can't make this stuff up.
Now, Mr. Speaker, I have much to learn from the members of this great House. I will make mistakes. I have no doubt that you will call them out for good reason. Because this House has rules, it has traditions, and it's on those traditions that our Athenian democracy is founded.
Athenian democracy. This guy is completely out to lunch. They literally just voted against any type of real democracy. And I'm going to show you Athenian democracy and how this party is the exact opposite. In fact, if he really believed, truly believed his words, he wouldn't have even had a vote on the Reform Act. He would have said, no, we're not. No, you are going to have the right, if I become a horrible leader and too power hungry, that you can remove me. This is the exact opposite. We are not even close. A Westminster system isn't even close to Athenian democracy.
Yes, we are Athens. They are Rome.
Right.
On va triompher.
We will prevail.
Right. Now, this is Athenian democracy. So I asked it as a comparison to the Westminster system. No, Athenian democracy was not a Westminster-style system. While both involved elements of democracy and citizen participation, they differ significantly in how they operate. Athenian democracy was a direct participatory system where citizens directly voted on laws and issues in the assembly, rather than electing representatives. Did you hear that? In contrast, the Westminster system is a representative democracy where citizens elect representatives to make decisions on their behalf. Here's a little bit more of a detailed comparison. Direct participation. Citizens actively participated in the assembly, voting on laws and policies and direction. Sortition. Many officials were chosen by lottery rather than election. Limited citizenship. Citizenship was generally restricted to adult male citizens of Athenian birth. Small scale. Athens had a relatively small population of citizens, making direct democracy feasible. Now, Westminster. Citizens elect representatives to Parliament, or a similar body, to make decisions on their behalf. Elections. Representatives are chosen through elections. Wider citizenship. Citizenship is generally broader and more inclusive, often based on residency and or birthright. And larger scale. More democracies operate on a much larger scale, making direct democracy impractical. Now, by voting to not push through the Reform Act and have the ability for the party to vote out a leader, even the Westminster system has been broken, because the MPs lose their right to protect the people in their riding that they were elected for. This is socialism. Moving on. Nothing's going to change. It's going to get even worse. This is Chrystia Freeland losing her shizits again because, well, there's reporters.
She just saw us and it looks like she's going to run away. Chrystia Freeland just turned, saw us. It appears as though she's scared. Someone on the phone now. We just want to speak to our elected officials.
That's Alexia Boulay. Look at this, police.
Since a year and a half.
Chrystia Freeland running from questions.
That she had to ask bodyguard for traveling with her until her car. She refused accountability. This is our elected official.
Exactly right. Canada is in big trouble. Everybody, there were a lot of people like myself and others that were warning, but propaganda is still much bigger than we are. This is why I need you to like, share, and subscribe. That's how they won the election. They won it through their propaganda machine. And I say this over and over and over again. The heaviest hand, the greatest tool, the most powerful part of a socialist or fascist government, communist as well, is control of propaganda. Through that, this entire demise and control of a country takes place. Polyev wanted to start minimizing the amount of government waste, especially through the hiring practices of the Liberal Party. And they purposely were hiring government employees in order to skew the demographics of what the real unemployment and job creations were. Now we have a bloated, in fact, bloated is putting it kindly, system in the government with way too many employees. Now, what Polyev wanted to do is he wanted to do it through attrition. Instead of firing people, he was just going to start not hiring as retirees were retiring. This is a perfect math idea of how to do it without affecting not only the economy, but by slowly giving the employees of all of these different organizations, from immigration to the border to everything, in order for them to slowly start dealing with minor losses as time progresses in order to keep their system functioning. And when this usually does happen, the systems end up performing at a much more successful, higher rate. Media lied. Straight out lied. All the liberals lied. He's gonna cut your government jobs. Rah-rah. The union representatives lied. He's gonna cut all of our jobs. All of them were lies. And then guess what hit? Instead of an actual, intellectual way of dealing with attrition, now they're licking their wounds.
And with me now is Alicia Kang, National President of the Union of National Employees. It represents passport officers, among many others. Alicia, thank you very much for being here. What is your immediate reaction to the federal government's decision to cut 800 passport office jobs? Do you think this is justified?
800.
Well, it's disheartening. Obviously, we've had passport crises in the past in terms of being able to get services to Canadians. And really, what you're looking at is job cuts of the most vulnerable public servants, mostly terms, precarious workers. And you're looking at people who are making under $58,000 a year. So it seems to me like Mark Carney is, looking at fiscal responsibility on the backs of the least paid public servants in the public service. And so I'm not sure that Canadians are going to continue to get the services that they so need to be able to get their passports through these cuts.
How do you anticipate these job cuts will affect passport processing times and service delivery?
Well, we've continued to see these long lineups, even post-pandemic, and I don't see this helping us get the passports any quicker. I actually see there being a slowdown, particularly when we return to the fall, which is the beginning of the busiest season in the passport processing system. And so I think that Canadians are really going to be impacted in terms of long lineups. And that also impacts the members at the end of the day that are left behind having to service Canadians who think that it's, there's often this perception that we're not processing things fast enough, but oftentimes it's because we don't have the actual capacity and the surge capacity to be able to serve Canadians properly.
No. What he did is, this is the dumbest move. This is the dumbest move. Liberals, expect a circus when you vote a Carney. Now, The truth of the matter is, he kept all of the wealthy paychecks on there, all of the people who don't do crap. And he got rid of all of the people who actually do the work. Hey, PSAC, you're next. In fact, I've already got a few that I'll be posting here on the next or future episodes on how your jobs are already not only in the crosshairs, but a few have been released, and there's going to be a lot more. Yeah. Boy, did you vote wrong. So when your PSAC top dog representative for the union was telling you who you should vote for, make sure you remember this when you're sitting at home and your unemployment runs out and you can't find a job because we are falling fast into a depression. We've been in a recession for 3 years. Media's been trying to hide it, saying, well, now it looks like we're going to be in a recession. No. We are in a recession. We have over 20% unemployment. We have over 25% living in poverty where they can't afford food. Think carefully. Our dollar is at an all-time low. There isn't a single economic plus to anything going on in Canada, and there hasn't been in 4 years. We have the lowest GDP for the last 10 years of all the G20. In fact, comparison to where we were to where we're at now, we rank like 130th out of all the countries in the world because of how successful we once were. We were better than the States. Our dollar went further. Everything is broken. And propaganda got the same Socialist Party elected once more. So get prepared, because it's not going to be attrition. It's not going to be done through intellectual economics. It's going to be done through slash and burn, because he needs money to push his green agenda to make sure all of his Brookfield investors and those on the WEF, those very wealthy global cabals, rich. And that's all on the backs of Canadians. Moving ahead. The NDP have lost and will not be getting back their official party status. Yeah.
It says that the NDP will not be granted official party status. Any federal party needs at least 12 seats to be recognized, but New Democrats only secured 7 in last month's election. Interim NDP leader Don Davies had spoken to the PMO about the possibility of retaining official party status. Well, Government House Leader Stephen McKinnon says that the NDP will not be granted official party status. Any federal party...
Down to a two-party system. What has Canada become? Now, Andrew Scheer gives a fabulous speech welcoming the new Speaker of the House. And I just wanted to play this because not only was Andrew Scheer an amazing Speaker of the House, this man knows parliamentary law. He understands it amazingly well. And he was also, if I remember correct, the youngest. Here we go. Great words from Andrew Scheer.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, a huge congratulations to you. You've gotten the support of this House to manage this House for the next months, years. Who knows? We'll see.
I too would like to indulge myself to take this opportunity to thank the voters of Regina Capel and indeed our spouses. I'd like to thank my wife Jill for the sacrifice that she and my family make, as do all our spouses and significant others. You have just taken charge of an office that is almost as old as Parliament itself. It emerged in the Middle Ages when the Commons needed a spokesman to air its grievances to the King. A task that probably wouldn't stand up to the safe workplace guidelines that exist today. And as we heard from our Dean, until the 17th century, the Speaker's loyalty was to the Crown rather than to MPs, and they were often blamed if they delivered bad news to the monarch. 7 speakers were beheaded between 1394 and 1535, and many more were imprisoned. Managing monarchs was a delicate undertaking. One speaker, John Wenlock, during the War of the Roses, when no one could be sure who would end up as king, he tried to hedge his bets by fighting for both the York family and the Lancastrians. It didn't work out too well for him, though. He died at the Battle of Tewkesbury. But of course, he wasn't the last politician to try to be on both sides of a contentious issue. And I dare say we may find some Liberal MPs voting for things that they were very recently voting against.
So true. But that's yet to be proven.
Gradually, the Speaker's role became one of representing Parliament rather than the monarch, and it wasn't until the Victorian era that impartiality of the Speaker became the norm. Now, it might no longer be a requirement to stand up to kings and queens, but you may find yourself having to stand up to other offices of authority, and if such a moment presents itself, we trust you will stand with those speakers who came before you, who defended this institution on behalf of the people. As I look back over the last few parliaments, we did have some trying times. We witnessed injuries from flying elbows, F-bombs dropped, and a few appearances of one member in a state of undress. I did hear that CPAC was considering putting a warning on the daily broadcasts, may contain violence, coarse language, and nudity, but so far they haven't had to do that. The speakership itself has been tested, with unfortunately some speakers caught in the middle of scandals.
One of
themselves.
my favorite representatives is sitting behind him, Eli Ross. I really appreciate him and what he's done to his nations, his tribe, and all the indigenous along that route where they got a pipeline built. He's truly a hero for the indigenous in Canada.
I have heard it said that it's all gone downhill since the last time a Conservative was elected Speaker, but I couldn't possibly comment on that. In all seriousness, though, Mr. Speaker, you are not the Commissioner of Parliament, you are the servant of the House, and that is an important dynamic. You are held accountable by the members, and each of us are accountable to our voters. Debates should be passionate, they should be lively. The lives of Canadians are changed by the decisions we make, and so it is normal that members get enthusiastic and fiery. When the stakes are so high, often the best thing you can do is allow the players to play a little bit. This is where the government is held to account. They have an enormous amount of power, and we, parliamentarians, must provide ruthless scrutiny on every dollar taken out of their pockets, every infringement on their liberties, and every single decision this government makes. Of course, every parliament has its own unique challenges and messy moments, but as Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others that have been tried. Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker.
And there you have it. A great speech. He always does. He's got such a great, he's got superlative dialect. He really knows how to put words together, being both serious and humorous, and I appreciated him, and I actually thought he would have been a great leader for Canada. Now, we're going to take a look at some of your tax dollars going to waste. This is the King of Canada.
Get back. We'll get hit.
helicopters, you name it.
That would be Carney and that set of vehicles.
So that was Carney's part. This is the King's part.
Very large motorcade.
Unbelievable waste of tax dollars. They just blow through money, and propaganda media is out there right now. I was gonna do a few clips, but you know what? I don't have no king. There is no person born better than anybody. It's an absolute embarrassment that he's coming to read the throne speech. Unbelievable. Now we're gonna move on. As I was talking earlier about how much Trump has done, take a listen. This is just a great example. The green scam in the States is over. And I urge you, especially if you're a new subscriber, to check out my previous episodes. Trump wanted the Liberal Party in because it would guarantee him success and guarantee the American economy to flourish even more than he ever dreamed. Because as we are implementing these green zealot, completely unproven agendas, he's removing it, getting back to science. And this, well, like the car sector, if you work in the automotive sector, again, previous episodes, I've warned about this way before the election. You voted yourself out of a job because if they're going to ban combustion engines, the States is there with welcoming arms, ready to take all of those jobs and factories, which we are seeing. And we all know that EVs are not only overpriced, they're junk, especially here in Canada. But let's just take a listen as a Wyoming senator goes off.
Yes, one, we need to make sure the border is secure. The president was elected to secure the border, number one. Number two, we need to make sure we get rid of so much of this waste, fraud, and abuse that we're seeing in the government. This has been found out by the groups that are looking into this right now, so we're continuing to work through that. We need a strong military, a strong defense. That went away over the last 4 years. Tomorrow's Memorial Day. I'll be in Wyoming at a cemetery with our Gold Star families. People want to make sure that we are a strong nation. From the standpoint of energy, we need all of the energy. And Biden put a lot of money on bad things. You know, just last week we blocked the Democrats' view going out the door. They said no more gas-powered cars in America. Can you imagine? They wanted to, by law, force people into buying electric vehicles. We were able to stop all of that.
The Indy 500 with EVs would not be the same.
Not a 10-second pit stop. No, you'd have to be a 2-day race till they recharge the batteries.
Exactly. You know,
That's a great point.
You mentioned energy, and President Trump announcing that his administration will pursue nuclear energy. Listen here. I think we have a soundbite of that.
We have a very big announcement today. It has to do with nuclear energy and other things. And this is all nuclear. It's a hot industry. It's a brilliant industry. You have to do it right. It's become very safe and environmental. We'll be second to none because we're starting very strong. But it's time. It's time for nuclear, and we're going to do it very big.
He's already greenlit 9. There's 9. Now, from just going through posts and threads and kind of following through what a lot of the American senators are doing, as well as the businesses involved in this, they have already got surveyors out on 5 of the locations. They're working out, securing other locations. They're going to concentrate on drumroll please, cutting off Ontario's power. And this will follow through to Montreal's power. And then it'll keep going east. After what Dougie Ford did, and again, previous episodes, I talked about this. I saw all of this coming. It's not hard when you live through the news. This is what I do. Yes, I'm a nerd. It wasn't hard to see that Dougie put the focus right on Ontario. And in doing so, the rest of Canada. They're going to cut all of Canada off from selling energy to the States. We will be a backup, and then from there, they won't even need a backup anymore because they'll have more nuclear than a guy could shake a stick at. Thank you, Dougie Ford, you liberal waste of skin.
Just your thoughts on that, Senator?
Well, number one, never again can we be dependent on Russia or China for nuclear material or anything related to energy. The president is absolutely right. We need to be uranium here, the next generation nuclear power plants here. We need all of the energy. And I'm from Wyoming, the breadbasket of American energy. We're building that next generation of nuclear power plant. But additionally, in the fight for AI against China, you need massive amounts of energy. And the Biden administration really put our head in a noose the last 4 years by telling the EPA, prioritize climate over energy that's available, affordable, or reliable. President Trump is focusing on energy dominance. Last month, I was with him in the White House. He signed an executive order on coal. We need all of the energy. When President Trump...
Now, the coal thing, he's using the Canadian invention of carbon capture. Pretty bad when our own country goes against our own science, ingenuity, and technology. And other countries are going to use it to the benefit of not only the environment, but to the benefit of taxpayers and citizens. Canada is broken.
Rightly says energy security is national security. He knows what he's talking about. This is, and you guys just did the story. What? Energy, gas, 50 cents cheaper right now, a gallon than it was a year ago. The lowest, did you say, on Labor Day?
4 years.
Yeah. That's what this administration is doing. That's what a united Republican Party is doing to get down prices, to increase wages, to bring jobs back home. And what this EO is going to bring nuclear energy jobs back to America.
Amazing.
We shall see.
Well, Senator John Barrasso, thank you so much, and thanks for reminding us the days of the green scam are over. Thanks for all of that.
And here we are. We just voted and secured it in, and it's gonna go full-fledged in its lunacy. It's gonna be Canada's in serious trouble. Now, this is Trump talking about Putin, and we're gonna clarify a little wee bit here through this.
Can you provide us an update on Russia and Ukraine as well?
Yeah, I'll give you an update. I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him. But he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Mr. President, what do you want to do about that?
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. We'll see what we're going to do. What am I going to tell you? You're the fake news, aren't you? You're totally fake. All right, any other questions? I don't like what Putin is doing, not even a little bit. He's killing people. And something happened to this guy, and I don't like it. That's all I have to say.
And can I follow up on that? A Russian commander reportedly said that Putin was almost caught in the middle of a drone attack from Ukraine. So do you have any...
Now, this is fact. This happened. And now, could you imagine if this would have happened to any other leader, especially Trump? If there was an ongoing battle, they were in the middle of peace talks, and all of a sudden, with the help of the EU, a whole bunch of drones and missiles targeted to purposely try and eliminate Putin. Now, there's different reports going out where, of course, the Russian propaganda end of it is saying, oh, there wasn't even a threat, they tried, but we knocked them all down. And then there are more credible where they're saying he was almost eliminated. And he retaliated. What else is he supposed to do? They were supposed to be in the middle of peace talks. And with the help of the EU through their war machine, they purposely tried to upend what Trump was trying to do. Now, Trump hasn't caught on to this yet. And you can see here, he's caught off guard. The fact that his own administration never told them that this happened, this should be another eye-opener to Trump, that he's got to go in and he's got to do some more purging in these alphabet agencies, because they're withholding information from him that definitely pertains to getting peace in Ukraine.
I haven't heard that, but maybe that would be a reason. I don't know,
Do you
but
think-
I have not heard that.
President Trump, Secretary Hegseth's acting chief of staff is a Biden administration holdover who has said some very critical things.
Now, that did happen, and again, I can't actually show you a lot of the footage and stuff because, well, they smack my algorithms. They're already going to smack me because of some of the stuff I put on here, especially that breaking news that happened in Liverpool. Now, I just wanted to show you this. This is absolutely priceless. Macron in full display. Yes, that was his wife. Watch carefully. Oh, trouble in paradise. The cokehead is, I think, slowly reality's kicking in to everybody around him on who he really is. And now, this is absolutely hilarious. This is a guy trying to outrun the police in Toronto, naked. Ouch! I'm gonna have to mute that. Yes, Canada, we are in very, very big trouble. Nothing new. Nothing seems to surprise me anymore in this country. We are definitely broken. We have got some major issues to deal with. Well, you guys, I'm going to call that an episode. I appreciate all of the new subscribers. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And if you are, make sure you punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until the next time. Oh, by the way, I've got merch. I sure do. Check out my merch. I've got more to come. I kind of have to do everything all by myself. I'm a very small media outlet, so I'm trying to figure out ways in order to get the digital kind of aspect down so that I can actually have this merch made up. Slowly, I'm learning, I'm getting better, but I do have some fabulous merch already out there. It's a great way to support the channel, and not only for you to look fashionable, but actually put truth to power and be proud of who you are. Anyways, until the next time, you've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias the Guy. Stay informed.